I have my issues with Boiler Room, but in a way, they also have launched a lot of careers. But then basically there's been a whole thing about how they're owned by kind of KKR, which is an Israeli company that also has like very large hands in funding kind of the genocide that's going on in Palestine. And obviously a lot of people, if you're a left-leaning company, which you're meant to be, i.e. dance music is inherently political, it's inherently left-wing, then you are meant to be representing those values. And by being, as much as they've made a statement saying we're not a part of the genocide, or we don't believe in those values, we don't believe in the genocide, we support Palestinian rights, we support...
I was going to get it up because I think that that's the sort of thing that you can't really get wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, they have put it on here. Shall I read it out?
Legally, I'm allowed to. Well, you guys can say it. I don't want to get sued by Boiler Room.
September 2021, Boiler Room was acquired by Dice. All prior investors were removed from the business and a new board was formed. At this point, Dice owned 100% of the company. Then Dice sold Boiler Room to Superstruck January this year, the second largest festival group in the world, who are themselves owned by KKR, which has investments that categorically do not align with our values. No Boiler Room staff at any level held any ownership or voting rights in the company and had no control over the sale. We're also unable to divest because we have no say in our ownership. I'm reading out the statement just to be...
Yeah. And
we will always remain unapologetically pro-Palestine. We continue to adhere to BDS and PACBI guidelines regarding artist programming and brand partnerships and engage with Palestinian artists and organisers in order to formalise our internal policies in line with this commitment.
Yeah, so what is it, PACBI?
Yeah.
And those guys made a statement saying Boiler Room are actually compliant to BDS or whatever. And at the end of the day is that I'm not Palestinian. I'm like aware of the situation and obviously support Palestinian rights and Palestinian right to kind of freedom. But at the same time as in, I have no lived experience of it. So I'm just sitting there being a commentator from the outside. And so if they make a statement and they're genuinely in the movement and they're Palestinian people doing that stuff, then I have to respect it. But at the same time, the only thing I have an issue with is Boiler Room basically just gets to say, hey guys, I know we're having a bad time and we're owned by a bad company, but we still really are left wing. So please keep buying our merch and still please keep like making us money, which is then going to KKR. And it's like, I don't have a problem with like, of course, no one, it's not up to the management. It's not up to the people who work at Boiler Room because they're all going to be like usually very left wing. They're going to be pro-Palestine. They're going to be very politically aware. And I totally understand that they wouldn't have no idea of anything going up in upper management or who they're sold to. But at the same time as in the very basic thing is that they are essentially art washing. They're art washing.
Is that what you called it? I was trying to think in my head, would it be like, because I was like, what's the equivalent of sports washing?
Yeah.
I was trying to, or green washing.
It is art washing, and it's just basically them being like, hey, we're still your mates, we're still really cool, we're still left wing. Please keep buying our Palestine t-shirts, please keep buying our merch and giving us money, which then directly goes to KKR. It's like you can't get away from that fact that it does directly fund that, even though, they are supporting Palestinian artists and they're supporting as a like vocally they are still supportive of left-wing causes and stuff. And so that's the kind of rub that I have. But basically the discussion is that they launch a lot of artists and they launch a lot of musicians, but then it becomes again where it's like you have to be on Boiler Room to get launched. You have to be like, as a DJ, you have to, and a lot of them don't. A lot of the guys play for free. Like they're not getting paid to be on Boiler Room. You do it for free for exposure, which is the classic thing of we can't pay you, but we can give you exposure. And it's like, well, yeah, I get you get the exposure, but is that the only way that an artist now or a DJ can get launched is by having to go on a thing for free? Like it's the same as me being like a graphic designer and giving like someone like a portfolio for free or whatever. It doesn't really make any sense, but. So that was the thing about
There's a lot
artists.
of stuff that you do for free in the arts now.
Yeah.
I suppose you could kind of include journalism in that, but I mean the number of emails you'll get from like very wealthy, very profitable companies.
Yeah.
Who will
Still trying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who will you'll be like, what's the fee? And people will be like, oh, who's she to ask the fee? Because it's my job.
Yeah.
And often, if it's like an hour slot, you'll have to do sort of 2 hours prep. So that's 3 hours work to not be paid for that.
Yeah.
It's quite outrageous. And then they'll say something like, it's exposure. Exposure to who?
Yeah, well, this is it. And
You're going to make money off of what I say.
Yeah, and this is it with the, with it
We're sort of deviating a little bit, aren't we? I suppose the sort of the upset, park the Palestinian cause.
I just wanted to.
No, I don't want you to say sorry. I don't want you to say sorry at all. I think it's actually, because we've been talking about it for ages at the desk, so actually it's quite nice to talk about it on the podcast. But park that for one moment. One of the points about Boiler Room, which is, I suppose, is what's happening to the club scene across the UK, is that a very large corporate, perhaps say an investment firm, maybe a hedge fund, something like that, will look at a profit-making club and they'll buy it.
Yeah.
And that changes the dynamic of what goes on in the room on the night. Yeah,
exactly. The end of the day is that you can't get away from the fact that all corporations are inherently right-wing. Big business is inherently right-wing. And you can't get away from the fact that if a big business, a big corporation takes over your small, cool left-wing thing that is all about culture and arts and supporting left-wing values, then they are going to inherently change those things, those dynamics, that outlook into profit margins.
I think that's where it comes from, where the feeling of control comes from, right? Where an environment feels controlled.
Yeah. And it has to be by very nature for it to make money. You have to suddenly be like, oh, the drinks are really expensive. It's like, yeah, because they're trying to make money off you. Like, oh, it's really expensive to get into the Boiler Room Festival. Yeah, because they're trying to make money off you. And they have to make money because they've got investors, they've got shareholders, and that's how a big corporation works. It's right-wing, it's exploitative. That is the very nature of it. You can't get a big corporation who's, we're a big corporation, we make loads of money, millions of quid a year, and also we're also your friend and we're also supporting left-wing values. Those two things just do not mix. They just clash inherently. That's the very nature of it. And so for people, the thing that galls me about Boiler Room and the thing that galls me about big business techno, we call it, was it business techno or like whatever, but
business techno.
This business techno is this kind of thing where it's like massive techno DJs now are just so huge. They're just playing these massive festivals and it's kind of almost like they play a very specific type of techno that is like big room, kind of crowd pleasing techno that's very generic because they know it's going to make them loads of money. But it's the same kind of thing where it's like you're a corporation, you're selling a product and your product needs to make money. And if that product is dance music, they don't give a fuck if it's left wing or right wing or whatever the fuck it is, as long as it's making money. So this whole idea, the statement they make, they're doing that because they want to keep making money. That's what a corporation is doing, to make money. And I know I keep on saying it over and over again, but it's like there's no other way around it. You can't actually escape that fact. And obviously you can, in itself, making a left-wing statement to be like, please, I know you're all left-wing, so we are still too, please still keep listening to Boiler Room. That means they're doing it to play on the hearts and minds of predominantly left-wing people who are into dance music so they can keep on making money as a big corporation.